Okay, ladies, it's time for a kick it to the curb talk. I have a story to tell you. So, we'll call his name John, and we'll call her name Mary. So, John is sitting down, enjoying a show, watching TV, and suddenly Mary comes up, sits down beside John, and John thinks, oh, great, Mary's going to sit and watch a show with me. How lovely. But then Mary turns to John and starts talking. So John pauses the TV, turns to give Mary his full attention. Mary continues to talk. John responds. Mary seems to be done talking. John turns back to the TV and even waits a few minutes and makes sure that she's not going to say anything else. Then he proceeds to unpause the TV. As soon as he unpauses the TV, Mary begins speaking again. John again pauses the TV, turns to give Mary his full attention, and Mary proceeds to talk. John responds, and again turns back and unpauses the TV. Mary again proceeds to talk, and then John pauses again and gives Mary her full attention. This happens several times. Finally, John, in frustration, says, "Are we talking or are we watching TV right now?" Which, in turn, Mary gets offended and an argument begins. Now, ladies, I want you to answer this question. Who was the rude, inconsiderate one in this story? Was it John, was it Mary, or was it both? Did Mary have a right to be upset when John spoke to her so directly? Did John have a right to be so direct with Mary? Let's be real for a minute, ladies. If you were in the middle of doing something and your husband came up like you're on a phone call and tried to get your attention and keep interrupting that phone call, would you be upset? Would you be irritated and annoyed? But does that mean that you love him any less, even though you might be a little irritated and annoyed? Does John love Mary any less because she was interrupting his show? Was John actually angry, or was he just wanting her to make a decision because he couldn't do two things at the same time? Ladies, our emotions and our hormones are much more complex than males. So that being the case, we tend to go seeking for validation and attention. In this story, several things could be going on. One, Mary actually had an important conversation to have with her husband, or maybe she just wanted to communicate. Maybe she had a lot of comments on the movie that he was watching, or she just wanted to talk about her day. Whatever the case was, it was in the middle of John trying to do something else. Another reason for Mary doing this is she may have been having an insecure moment. So maybe she wanted to make sure that she got some attention and to test to see if John thought her more important than the TV. So she repeatedly interrupted. Or maybe she didn't realize she was interrupting anything at all, or wasn't even thinking about it. She just simply had comments and things to say. But then when John got upset, she couldn't figure out why he would be so upset. But was John really upset, or did he just really want her to make up his mind? In a man's mind, there are two things going on here. Look, we're either having a conversation or I'm watching the show. We're not doing both at the same time. So if you want a conversation, say, well, I'd like to have a conversation. Then I will ignore the show while we continue to have a conversation, and then I can get back to my show, right? It is unfair and inconsiderate and rude of Mary to just come in and have no respect for her partner, the person who she has chosen to live her whole life with, to love, and yet she has no respect of his time and his feelings. She sits down, she blunders in, and has no consideration. So in this story, Mary 100% started the whole thing and is not innocent in this matter. And John had every right to pose this straightforward question to Mary, be it a little brash or be it kind, whichever way it was. He had a right to ask because he wanted to know where he stood at that moment, because Mary had come and literally presented him a situation to which now John had to make choices. Am I watching my show like I wanted to? Or am I giving a conversation to my wife because she's obviously asking for it, but then she keeps pausing long enough to as though she's finished? So he's left to wonder. So he, like a normal man would, straightforward asks the question, to which Mary has the opportunity at that point to be offended, walk away, and be like, oh, I guess the TV's more important, right? We don't need to do that. That's stupid. That's petty. Kick it to the curb, ladies. When you're in that moment, especially if you're innocent and you really don't realize that you were doing that, that is an opportunity for you to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That was so rude of me. You can get back to your show. And I love you so much. Thanks for taking time for me and paying attention to me. And leave. Or like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That was so rude of me. Yes, watch your show. In fact, I'd like to cuddle with you while we watch the show. Hooray. The man is over it. He's just glad to move on and know exactly what you were expecting of him. Because men aim to please. They aim to please. That is one of the things that's ingrained in them. They want to please you. They want to do things that make you happy. But if you're literally making it confusing for them, then they can't make you happy. So frustration comes out and you get that. So, ladies, do your man a favor, do yourself a favor, do your health a favor in your marriage, and know what you want. Make a decision. Be respectful and considerate enough to your spouse that you actually say, hey, honey, could you pause? Would you mind pausing for a minute? And he would pause and he'll look at you just like, I just want to know, I just wanted to verbally process with you about this. I do this to my husband all the time. Hey, I need to verbally process for a second. And then I'm just like, and I'm like, is it okay? Asking permission. Is it okay if I do that right now? I just need to complain about something, whatever it is. Or I just want to inform him of, I just found out today that there's a party, blah, 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 whatever it is, right? And then I say my piece. We have a conversation. He realizes, okay, she's asking. Obviously, we're having a conversation. I'm not going to be unpausing this for a minute. So he has that conversation with me. Make sure that I'm done. And he's just like, okay, good. And I'm like, yeah. And I even tell him, move on. You're good. Push play again. Thank you so much for taking time for me. And then we're moved on, right? So much better. But if you're one of those women who are a little oblivious, which I definitely was at the beginning, where you just go up, you start talking, and then they get frustrated, and you're understanding, why are you frustrated right now? Aren't I important? No, because you've presented two opportunities here. Are we having a conversation, or am I watching something? Was that a quick question, or was that a quick comment, and I get to move on, or are we still in this, right? Be fair. Be considerate. Be respectful. You certainly wouldn't want your husband to do that to you, right? And if he does it, I'm sure you're annoyed by it. It's not like you pause your things and give, oh, yes, sweetie, my attention's all yours, right? It's just like, oh, yes, right? So in those moments, it's like, okay, let's take a pause. Let's not get offended or defensive. Let's be realistic here. He's a human being. You're a human being. We have feelings, annoyances, and things that we were expectations of what we were hoping to do. And they're being interrupted. There's nothing more. Okay, so as a mother, you should especially understand this if you're a mom. You're in the middle of a phone call. You're in the middle of anything. And a child is like, Mom, 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 can I have this? Mom, can I have that? Mom, can you do this for me? Mom, could you just be quiet so I can finish a conversation or finish a sentence, right? This is what you are doing to your spouse when you don't take into consideration what they're already in the middle of or doing or had plans for. All right, ladies, let's kick this pettiness to the curb. Let's stop being defensive and all that jazz. All right. I hope you all have an amazing day. You are amazing. You're doing a wonderful job. Let's just kick up our respect and consideration for each other. It took me a minute. I'm like, oh, what's the word? We're a real person here. We forget words. Anyway, all right. Good luck, y'all. Rock on.